Conservation Commission. And pursuant to the amendment of Bill H3548 and Governor Healy signing such amendment into law in March of 2023, expressing certain provisions of the open meeting law, this public meeting of the Town of Bolton Conservation Commission is being conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but the public can access this meeting while in progress by Zoom video communications. Members of the public attending this meeting will virtually be allowed to make comments if they wish to do so during the portion of the hearing designated for public comment by telephone, cell phone, or personal computer using Zoom. As always, a few guidelines for participants. Please utilize the chat or raise hand function to address the board. Participants will remain on mute until they have been addressed by the board, and participants are required to display their first and last names. All that said, by tradition, we will start with a roll call of present members. I am Brian Barabee.
Jim Garrity.
Sue Mitra.
Laura Stevenson.
Excellent. Okay, first up this evening, the Bolton Conservation Commission will now open a public hearing under Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Bolton Bylaw, Chapter 233, to discuss a request for determination of applicability for 655 Main Street, submitted by Scott Mackey for the proposed installation of a 6-foot-tall chain-link fence. Lauren, is Mr. Mackey or rep for Mr. Mackey here with us tonight?
Yep, I see him in the room with us tonight.
All right. Mr. Mackey, do you want to walk us through what you're proposing real quick?
Sure. Can you hear me okay?
Definitely.
Okay. Basically, we just moved in January, and we want to put up a 6-foot tall fence on the property to keep our dogs in, give them a safe place to run around in the back of the property or in the property. And when I went up to town hall to introduce myself, I found out there may be wetlands or a buffer of wetland on the property, which was not disclosed to us when we purchased the land. So I just wanted to present to you to say I would like to put a fence. I don't know exactly where it's going to go on the property fully, but I wanted to make sure I'm not going to put it in an area that I'm not allowed, or if there is no prohibited areas or something like that, just to understand that so I don't do something inappropriate.
All right. Appreciate that. Lauren, can you share your screen? Do you have a copy
Sure.
of the plan?
Yes. 1 minute.
So I will say, and I don't know if other commission members saw it in your packet, I was reading through what Mr. Mackey was trying to do. And I'm just trying to, do we know where the wetlands come in or what's jurisdictional to us, Lauren? I don't know if you know offhand.
So I think actually Rebecca added this plan
Right.
earlier today. She was able to find this. Oops. 1 minute. And I was having a hard time telling or taking a look at this plan in comparison to the plan that we received. I don't know if this is an old subdivision plan, so I don't know if it's changed slightly since then. Let's see. Scott, is this existing barn on your property now?
No, that if you look up at the highlighted area in the upper left-hand corner,
Yep.
that's our lot per what Rebecca had showed me. And that's why I couldn't really tell like where exactly the back of the property line was from this, because this was the only example I had. And I think that's the line of buffer, whereas the green wetland may or may not be on the line, but because of this particular image, I couldn't tell. And that's why I'm asking the town where, does the buffer apply? Is there any wetland on my property that I need to be aware of to, because we have some old stacked stone walls, marking off the back of our property line and the side of the property lines. But from this image, I can't make a determination or tell what that means. So that's why I'm coming to the town to ask.
So I'm sorry. So is this dwelling yours, or are you saying
Nope.
over here? property?
Above that, that's the lot next to us is the skinny lot. Ours 655 is the one in the yellow.
Okay.
Okay. Are you
That's why I
able to
said-
scroll up at all, Lauren, or is that's the edge of
I
that
can't,
map?
yeah, that's where it ends.
Okay.
And now if I
So,
go,
and looking at that map, was the green the center of the wetlands and the blue basically the buffer zone? Sorry. I'm guessing the blue is
yep, so we have the
highlighting.
25. Yeah, this is
Yep.
the 100 buffer zone.
Okay. And that cuts through the back end of Scott's property. It looks
Correct.
like. Okay. Scott, looking at that, the fence, do you think it was outside the 100? Is it between the 100-foot and the 25-foot?
Some of the area that we were looking to fence in would probably be in that buffer zone is what we were considering. Because when you look at the plot plan, what I laid out, you'll see there's big square area in the back. And so we're looking to fence in as much area to let the dogs run around as possible. But that's why when we saw this, I'm like, well, that might be right in the middle of where we want to. And obviously,
yeah,
we're in it the first time this spring, so we're seeing how the water comes off, behind town hall and the conservation land, and is it going to be too wet back there to begin with, just from natural runoff? So that's where the dotted line is just an idea of where we are.
Okay.
The house is in kind of the that upper corner, if you will. That point is probably around where the house would sit, and then the area is behind it. The dotted line is probably the bottom of the slope, because for those of you who are familiar, we're the house right next to town hall. So there's flat area, and then it slopes up to the conservation land. There's a hill that goes up to the trail and everything up there. So the dotted line is kind of like the bottom of that slope. And so that's where this is just a general representation of what we might fence in. But if we can't go back that far, we need to take that into consideration. So we weren't sure what the buffer zone meant, for like the purposes of a chain link fence. And that's why, we're presenting that. So,
yeah. Can I ask what the area that you'd be fencing, what is it now? Is it wooded? Is it existing yard?
It's open yard. There are a few little gardens. They had an old existing, looks like a fire pit back there for, like a little camping fire pit to sit around. And there's one big, large beech tree, American beech tree that's in there. There's a shed that's probably on the upper, which would be the western point of the dotted line there. There's a existing shed that they had in there. But most of the area where we would be fencing in would be the open yard, with maybe the few trees that are sprinkled within, the beech tree and some of the other spots. But we wouldn't be clearing land or anything like that. There might be a little bit of fence that would go around some new trees that have just sprung up. But I'm looking to cut some of that back to open some of those areas, not big existing trees unless they're dead, but little just sprouts and stuff, just to keep everything healthy in there.
Okay. All right. I think that's all I have for initial questions, but let me open it up to the commission. Other commission members have initial comments, questions, or thoughts? I'm not seeing any.
Yeah.
And we put it out to, are there any members of the public here tonight to comment on this particular hearing? And again, not seeing any. All right. So Scott, my initial thoughts are, yes, this is probably something that we can condition, especially it's not so much a permanent structure. I know you're going to have to sink post holes. I just think we might need a little bit more information as far as the actual dimensions of where you're looking to go with it. And I was going to say, if at all possible, if you could possibly stake it out, just kind of stake out the corners of where you're looking to fence. That way we could get an actual dimension and we can figure out the actual square footage that's in the buffer zone, which is kind of info that we'll need in order to make a to make a determination of applicability. I don't think I have any other questions than that only just that we'd really kind of need to know like an exact dimension and where exactly it's going to be. I would think we could, I would probably ask, I would feel comfortable if we set up a quick site visit between now and our next hearing, to give you a chance to just mark out where it's going to be, have us come take a look. And that'll also get us a chance to kind of get a better map than the one we saw tonight, just so we have a good understanding of where the wetlands go through there. I think most of it we can see pretty clearly if we walk out there. That's kind of where I am with that right now. And I want to ask other commission members if they feel similarly, if they have different thoughts.
Yeah, agreed. I don't think we have enough information right now, Brian, really.
Okay.
So
So,
site visit would be great.
all right. So Scott, does that make sense?
Yeah, I probably won't be bringing in like a fencing company to give me quotes or anything like that, but I can say this is approximately where I'd put the fence, you know, especially in that back corner area, so you could see where that is. And if the buffer zone goes, you know, up towards the conservation land up above me, towards the trail and everything, I can certainly just mark off the approximate square of what I'm thinking back there. And you know, I can do that as early as tomorrow. So if the commission just lets me know when they'd like to come and do a site visit, I work from home, so as long as I
Oh,
don't have
excellent.
meetings, I can easily, you know, let somebody come here and see what they need to see. I can even measure, because I have the dimensions on the plot plan. I could measure and say, you know, it's going to be approximately 35 feet off the back stone wall, back property line. We actually had surveyors come out and put pins in, and stakes, so we can see where those back lines are based on the survey plan. So I can at least give some of that information by the time somebody wants to come out and visit,
That would
and
be
have that
excellent.
prepared for you. I won't be able to get you any more about the buffer zone or things, but I'm hoping you'll be able to, you know, find some other information that might help.
I think some of that we should be able to find, or at least, yeah, get a better idea. And I think when we see it out in the field too, it'll give us a really good idea where everything's flowing and kind of what the situation is a lot better.
Okay.
So that's at our next meeting is, sorry, I have a sneeze coming on. Maybe not. Our next meeting's June 3rd. So we'll continue it to then if you are okay with that. And in the interim, before our next meeting, we'll make sure we set up a site visit, and either Lauren or Rebecca will reach out to you to try to, she'll kind of pull the commission, see when people are available, see when you're available, and we'll try to figure out the best time.
Okay, absolutely. That works
All
for
right.
me.
In that case,
Thank you.
no, thank you. Nice talking with you, and we'll see you within the next couple of weeks. All right, I'm going to make a motion that we continue the public hearing for the request for determination of applicability for 655 Main Street until our next public meeting, Tuesday, June 3rd at 7:00 p.m. Do I hear a second for continuing?
Second.
All those in favor, starting with Jim,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
Lori,
Whoops, sorry, aye.
and Lauren, I'm an aye as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So next up, the Bolton Conservation Commission will now continue the public hearing under Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Bolton Bylaw, Chapter 233, to consider a request for a notice of intent for 89 Spectacle Hill Road, DEP file number 112-0754. I know for this, I don't know, Lauren, if the applicant or rep for the applicant's here tonight.
No, we actually received a request from the applicant for a continuation to the next meeting to
Okay.
June 3rd.
All right,
They're working on
excellent.
their revised plans right now.
Yeah. All right. So that said, I'd like to make a motion that we continue the public hearing for the notice of intent for 89 Spectacle Hill Road until our next public meeting, Tuesday, June 3rd at 7:10 p.m. Do I hear a second for continuing?
Second.
All those in favor, starting with Jim.
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
and Lauren, I'm an aye as well.
Okay, thanks.
Are we on time? Okay. We have 3 minutes. So, we have 2 sets of minutes to approve this evening.
Actually, Brian,
One I will be voting on. Go ahead.
we actually only have the first set. I forget what that was. April 15th?
April 15th.
Yep.
I have
Yep, so that's the
April
only set.
15th and the May 6th. Okay.
I think
Go
the
ahead.
May 6th were incorrectly put in the annotated agenda, but not the agenda that was posted. So the 6th is not available right now.
Okay. So we just have the 15th. This is good because I had questions about the 6th. Which I was all right. So regarding the minutes for our April 15th, 2025 meeting, did commission members had a chance to look through them? If so, any edits, corrections, or changes? If not, does anybody need more time to look through those minutes? I'm going to make a motion that we approve the minutes for our April 15th, 2025 meeting as drafted and presented at this evening's meeting. Do I hear a second for minutes?
Second.
All right. All those in favor, starting with Jim,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
Lori,
I'm sorry, my computer keeps breaking up, so I don't know why, because I'm sitting right next to the modem, so but it's not working very well. So if I'm delayed, that's why.
Oh, I figured it was something along those lines. Lauren, I'm an aye as well. That's all right, Lori. We can
Okay.
wait. I mean, we have time between things, so
Well, I'm
we will
watching
wait
it.
for it to
You-
kick in.
Yeah, you keep stalling on me. I'm like, why?
My computer warned me I had low bandwidth for a minute there, and I think I was freezing up on Lauren too at the beginning. So I guess we're getting ready for our nor'easter. in
That's
the
probably
middle
it.
I'm in that
Hey,
boat too.
Great. So yeah, we'll expect long pauses this evening, which makes for a wonderful meeting. It really does. Okay. So next up this evening, the Bolton Conservation Commission will now continue the public hearing under Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Bolton Bylaw, Chapter 233, discussing a notice of intent for Lot 2 Harvard Road, DEP file number 112-0755. Lauren, I'm not sure if the applicant or rep for the applicant's here this evening.
No, they're not. They actually sent
Okay.
in a request for continuation as well to the 3rd.
That's excellent. Yeah, I know. I know they were working on new plans, and I think they were able to. They submitted some this afternoon, or started sending some in this afternoon. So it'll give us plenty of time to look through them. Sorry, just going to words. 7:10 was our last. So in that case, I'd like to make a motion that we continue the public hearing for the notice of intent for Lot 2 Harvard Road, DEP file number 112-0755 till our next public meeting, Tuesday, June 3rd at 7:20 p.m. Do I hear a second for continuing?
Second.
All those in favor, starting with Jim,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
and Lauren, I'm an aye as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Oh, we do have extra time here, don't we?
We could go through our requests for certificate of compliance.
Yes, I think. Okay. Let me. Okay. So we had a few requests for COCs in this evening's agenda. First off is the one for 38 Long Hill Road, and I know Rebecca is still waiting to do a site visit for that one. So I think we're going to be tabling that one until our next meeting. The next one we had was a request for certificate of compliance for 933 Main Street. DEP file number 112-0751. Rebecca did have a chance to do a site visit for this one. I believe her report is in the file for this evening. She saw no issues and no reason not to issue a COC. I see no issues and no reason not to issue a COC. Commission members comfortable issuing a certificate of compliance, looking for more information? Other questions? Any members of the public here tonight to comment on this particular hearing or this particular discussion?
Hi, this
None.
is the applicant. I
Hi,
also
Mike.
see, hi. I also see no reason not to issue this certificate of compliance.
I was curious why you were the one person to speak up right now. I was, oh no. Okay. That said, I'd like to make a let me try that again. I'd like to make a motion that we issue a certificate of compliance for. Just when I had you, I lost you. Oh, it's DEP file number. Oh gosh, sorry. 933. Thank you. We'll start that fresh. I'd like to make a motion that we issue a certificate of compliance for 933 Main Street, DEP file number 112-0751. Do I hear a second for issuing a COC for this file number?
Second.
All those in favor, starting with Jim,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
and Lauren. I'm an aye as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I don't, is the rep for the international here this evening? And I'm not.
Yeah, I think Kelly's here. I see Kelly and Paul.
Okay. I know we had that as a time for discussion this evening. I don't see a reason why we can't take it up now if they are here joining us.
We are here, Mr. Chairman.
Thank
Okay.
you. We were waiting, but to be honest with you, we were talking about another job offline so that we could make best use of our time.
Okay.
Thank you so much. And we're here today to just kind of reiterate the request that we had the last time about whether or not we could stop the weekly inspections and the monthly reports that are required. And those are both prepared by Paul as the environmental monitor that are required under the order.
Yep. So we had we had this discussion last time, and in between we had a chance to talk with our agent and get her input on it as well. She was comfortable with dropping the weeklies, the weekly inspections, letting that go. But in her opinion, she would still like to get the monthly reports until the request for a COC comes in, the request for the full certificate of compliance. But she is comfortable without the necessity of weekly inspections, but would still like to get a monthly report of, even if it's a one-time check-in, a one-time walkthrough from Paul, and giving an update on where everything stands.
So he'll do one one walk through a month and
ahead.
prepare a report based on that. Is that correct?
Well, it's preparing a monthly report, but not necessary, but no longer needing weekly inspections.
Right,
So
that from
my
my
understanding
perspective,
of that would be that, you know, it would still be a report on where everything stands from your perspective, but not necessarily that you're doing a weekly check-in to offer your opinion.
right, but for me to say that with some integrity, I'm gonna go out there monthly and
Right. I
give
would
you-
imagine
give
you'd
you a-
walk through it, see where everything stands and say everything's still progressing as, I'm assuming,
Right.
along those lines.
Right, yeah, because I mean, that's what I'm doing weekly right now is walking around and verifying what I pretty much know to be true. So I consider this a monthly reality check to make sure that I don't know, something hasn't blown up somehow and report to the commission after I do that.
That was my understanding. That's how I took it in discussing it with Rebecca, is what, you know, she would see it as.
Okay.
And at the same time, I want to put it out to other members of the commission. This is, I had this conversation with Rebecca, but I don't know if you have additional questions or thoughts, comments, if you're comfortable with what we're kind of proposing with the ending of need for weekly inspections, but still requiring the monthly check-in.
Can I
And
just
Kelly, I'll
ask a
get to your question
question
in a minute. Go ahead.
before you
please.
vote or anything? I just have a question.
No, okay, yes. Okay, so
Is it
But,
okay to ask my question, or
before
am I
Kelly's
waiting for the
question,
commissioners?
everybody comfortable? I was going to say, I just want to, if they were comfortable with the idea of ending weeklies, but keeping the monthly, and then I'll definitely get to Kelly's question, but.
That makes sense.
Makes
Okay.
sense.
I'm at that.
All right, so Kelly, sorry, what were you going to ask?
So my question is this, that there is, we have 2 growing seasons that Paul has to monitor. And according to the order, he has to do that in September and then prepare a document to the commission at the end of that. And then at the end of 2 growing seasons, assuming that we've met the requirements, we would come to you for a certificate of compliance. So knowing that we have 2 full growing seasons, and that's another, 24 months, round numbers, of Paul, more than that actually, because we're just starting, of Paul having to do these monthlies, would you consider a partial certificate of compliance so that we close out everything except the growing, so that he doesn't have to walk this site once a month for the next, 24 months?
Yeah, well, I guess the shorter answer is we'll consider anything that's put before us. And it's not uncommon for people to ask for a partial COC.
Okay.
Specifically with that carve out, usually, oftentimes, when I've seen requests for partial COCs, it's basically everything but the 2 growing seasons, or the last growing season. So if it came before us, we'd definitely consider it. And I personally think I would be open to it, but it's one I want to talk to our agent quick and get her thoughts and her comfort level. But I've seen it before, and I think it's something I would be comfortable with. And
That's just
we'd
useful
definitely
information
entertain it if it came
for
before.
us to know, so that we'll know that what we'll want to do is advance the process that we have, get the partial certificate, request for a partial certificate filed with you. And then, see where we end up after that hearing process.
Okay. All right. But so for now, let me put it to the commission. I'm going to call for a roll call vote to amend the COC for the Pines Golf Course DEP file number 1120724 to no longer require weekly.
Sorry, Brian, I just want to jump in.
Be made of the property.
Can you
Go
hear me?
ahead, please.
I just wanted to jump in. It's not an amendment to a COC. It's just a general roll call vote.
Okay. So in that case, appreciate that. I'd like to call for a roll call vote that we allow the cessation of weekly inspections at the Pines Golf Course, at the Escalante International 159 Ballville Road, while maintaining the need for monthly reports. All those in favor, please say aye, starting with Jim,
I,
Sue,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
and Lauren. I'm an aye as well.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank
All
you
right,
very much.
thank you.
Have a
Guys,
nice
take care.
evening.
You'll still hear from me.
Yes.
Have a good night.
All right. We'll see you guys. Sorry, I'm just going through. Okay. All right. So, I'm sorry. Next up this evening, this is, I'm sorry. I'm trying to look through my notes. Lauren, this is 285 Still River.
Yep, Still River Road.
Was this opened last hearing?
Yep, this is continued
Okay. And
from the last hearing.
Jim, did you open this last hearing?
I believe I
Do you
did.
remember?
I think I did.
Okay, because I don't, I was looking for my past notes on it, and I'm like, I don't have notes on this. I was like, oh, okay, this is it's not new, but I just wasn't here for the first start of it.
Yeah, I did just check my notes. I did open it.
Okay, all right. So that all said, I'd like to. The Bolton Conservation Commission will now continue the public hearing under Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Bolton Bylaw, Chapter 233, to discuss a notice of intent for 285 Still River Road, DEP file number 112-0758. Lauren, is the applicant or a rep for the applicant here this evening?
I am Brian, Jack Maloney from Douglas and Roy.
Okay. And Jim, can I ask, where did we leave off last time?
So what we did was we had, we requested a site visit. So
Yep.
we had a site visit, was it yesterday? Lauren, I think it was yesterday, Jack. Yep. So we had a site visit yesterday. Myself, Lauren, and Rebecca went out and viewed the property with Jack.
Okay.
Everybody see the screen?
Yes, I can.
All right, so the pink obviously is the property line. This is a 1.74 acre lot. It goes way back up on the hill. It abuts some of the houses on Nashway Road. I'm sorry, Kettle Hole Road. There is a driveway that goes out to 289 Still River, which is right next door, which is this gray here, and then we have the edge of the stream that goes under the culvert noted in blue. So we do have the 100-foot inner riparian noted right here, and then the 200-foot is back out this way. This blue circle that's in here is the 100-foot radius from the existing well in the back. The current system on the property has 1,000-gallon septic tank on this side of the driveway, followed by a leaching pit. As per old records that are on file with, I'm not sure if they're on file with the town, but at least Neshoba has them. We're proposing to do a Presby type system, which on the site walk yesterday, we had it staked. So everybody could look to see the location of it. There'll be a new 1,500 gallon, 2-compartment tank in yellow. The old tank will be pumped, crushed and removed. Same with the pit. That will all be removed. And then Title V sand will be brought in and around that area. This orange represents the erosion control, which we're proposing the wattles at the top of the slope. There will be one tree that will be removed because probably having some sort of an effect on the system now, but I want to say it's probably about an 8-inch, some sort of a fruit tree, cherry tree maybe. But that will be coming out. That will be the only tree that will be affected by this. Everything else from the top of the slope down, saplings to 4 to 6 inch maples until you get to the bottom where the larger 2 trees are noted on the plan here. Other than that, everything is going to remain the same. Once it's done, it'll be loam seeded, replanted as it is grass right now.
Okay. Those that went on the site visit, and again, I'm sorry I wasn't on this one either. Were there any questions that you had coming out of that? Comfortable with everything as it's laid out? I know Rebecca had made a comment about the type of erosion controls being used kind of on the, I want to say it's the northeast side of the property. There's a little bit more of a downhill there.
Yep. We talked about, I mean, typically we put in straw wattles. And we did mention if the commission wanted to put it in the order of conditions, you know, we could back that up with a line of silt fencing behind it if you wanted to. So we don't have any issue with that.
Okay. And I was going to say, Jim, did that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Any comments or questions for additional comments or questions from members of the commission? None. Any members of the public here tonight to comment on this particular hearing?
Hi, Brian. I'll just make a comment based off of some of
Please,
the
Lauren.
notes that I have from Rebecca. Per
Okay.
our bylaw, for the tree removal, I don't know if you were getting to that already, but
I was going to say I was going to put that in the motion.
oh, okay. Okay. So yes,
But yeah, you were right. It's more of a reminder than something that should be put in the motion. So I was going to say, I think it's appropriate for you to bring up now before we go any further. And Jack, what we're talking about is Rebecca was reminding me of our bylaw regulations regarding the removal of trees.
Okay.
And I'm not sure that it's something that necessarily would go in the order, but it's that ratio of it. Depending on what
I can pull up the bylaw.
I was going to say that will help, depending on what the existing tree trunk diameter is, and the replacement quantity needed on site.
Okay. I see where you're getting at.
Yeah, and it's relatively new, so it's something that we like to make sure we put a reminder of. And sometimes, and I'm trying to think if it's something that we necessarily would need to say even in a motion in the order, because it basically it's an existing bylaw and it's just a reminder of that's the replacement quantity that's expected for mitigation for a project like this.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Lauren.
Yep. Do you want me to pull that up?
Go ahead, please. Yeah, if you want.
Okay.
If you're able to.
Sure. So Jack, I'll just need you to stop sharing your screen and I can pull up mine. Okay, just so everyone can see in our bylaw here. So if the existing trunk is, I think you said it's 8 inches, Jack, was that?
Yeah, it's about 8 inches. Yep.
Okay. So the bylaw says 3 to 8 inches replacement quantity of 1 tree as a replacement, or 8 to 20 inches 2. So I guess in this case, if it is 8 inches, that would mean it's up to the commission if they're looking for 1 to 2 replacement trees.
Right.
Is that something that could be added into the order, Brian, or?
That's where I was kind of struggling with a minute ago. It's like I think it can, right, to say that the commission finds that it's that well, I guess it's up to basically the bylaw says the applicant needs to, if you're removing, say, 2 trees in the 3 to 8 inches, it's up to you to determine that. Does that make sense? Like, it's difficult for us to say, well, with the trees you're removing, you need to replace with 4. It's one of those, well, if you remove 3 trees of this size,
I mean, it is only 1 tree that we're taking out of there because the rest of it's wide open.
Okay.
lawn.
All right. And
and
you think I'm sorry, I didn't want to cut you up, but you think it's an 8 to 20 inch?
It's right around 8 inches.
All right,
from what I
borderline.
remember. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So,
But we can definitely take a measurement of it. I mean, if you word it in such that, if the tree is up to 8 inches, you can replace one with 1. If it's, greater than 8 inches, then obviously 2 is the number that we'd be looking for.
and I was gonna say that's
yeah.
what I could put that in the order that, per
Yeah,
hour.
I think if it's worded that way to save time and stuff, we could.
Yeah, and just you determine in the field and yep. Okay, perfect. All right. So all that said, commission members have any additional questions, comments, thoughts? Okay. In that case, I'm going to make a motion that we close the public hearing for 285 Still River Road, DEP file number 112-0758. Do I hear a second for closing?
Second.
All those in favor, starting with Jim,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
and Lauren. I'm an aye as well. All right. See if I can get through this. Gonna make a motion that we issue an order of conditions for 285 Still River Road, DEP file number 112-0758, as drafted and submitted with the following conditions: that the erosion controls along the northeast boundary of the limit of work be straw wattles backed by silt fences. And that, let's see, I will find the bylaw. And that, per the bylaw regulation of Bolton Wetland Bylaw, Chapter 233, Regulations, Section 3.10, Section 2, that a ratio of a 3 to 8 inch diameter tree being removed shall be replaced with 1 tree elsewhere on the property. And if that tree is in the 8 to 20 inch diameter range, it shall be replaced by 2 trees on the property. Do I hear a second for issuing the order of conditions with those additional orders?
Second.
Or additional conditions. All right. All right. All those in favor, starting with Jim,
Aye.
Sue,
Sue was bumped out of the meeting and I just let her back in.
I am so sorry. I don't know what's going on with my internet.
Totally understand. Where did you leave off, Sue? Did you hear us make a motion to issue the order of conditions with those 2 additional conditions?
I did not hear that. Sorry.
Okay. So there is currently a motion to issue the order of conditions as it was drafted and submitted, with the additional conditions of adding silt fence as erosion control along that northeast boundary of the limit of work, or northeast erosion control boundary, and also doing the tree replacement pursuant to the bylaw. Bylaw, chapter 233, section 3.10, section 2, concerning like the replacement value of the trees that are being removed. So that was put forth. It was seconded. Jim has voted in favor of it. It is now on you to say aye or nay or abstain.
Aye.
All right. Lori Stevenson.
Aye.
And Lauren, I'm an aye as well.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Have a
Thanks,
great
Jack.
night.
Take care. Excuse me. There. Sorry, it says. Sorry, Lord, I lost my place. Who do we have up next tonight? We just got.
I think we have 58 Main Street is next.
Yes, right.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Yes, 58 Main Street.
Thank you. Yeah. All right, so next up, the Bolton Conservation Commission will continue the public hearing under Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Bolton Bylaw, Chapter 233, to discuss the notice of intent filed for 58 Main Street, DEP file number 112-0759. Lauren, is the is the applicant or a representative for the applicant here this evening?
We actually received a request for a continuation to the 3rd, to allow time for the commission to review the revised plans and the other documents that they had submitted.
Yep, that is perfect. It's like, I wonder why I didn't have notes. All right. That said, I'd like to make a motion that we continue the public hearing for 58 Main Street, DEP file number 112-0759 until our next public meeting, Tuesday, June 3rd at 7:30 p.m. Do I hear a second for continuing?
Second.
All those in favor, starting with Jim,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
and Lauren, I'm an aye as well.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Get the COCs. All right. The next thing I had down was discussion to possibly ban the use of second generation anticoagulant rodenticide, or SGARs, SGARs, on municipal property. Lauren, I am not sure if anyone is here tonight to discuss this outside of the commission.
Yeah, we have Kate, and I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your last name. I believe it's Buyuk, who's here to join us this evening.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Kate. How are you?
Good, thank you.
I didn't know if you wanted to kind of give us a run through of what we were looking at here. I mean, I should start with this. I'm familiar with what SGARs are. I know we have banned them in our personal household for years. And I know it's not something that we allow. We don't allow any pesticides on conservation properties. We reserve the right to use certain herbicides, basically for DPW doing parking lot cleaning, but they have to come to us for it. And this is more informational for our new members of the commission. So we already basically ban the use of pesticides and herbicides on all the lands that are jurisdictional to us, or all the lands that are town controlled lands under our management, I guess I would say. But this is a discussion tonight about whether this is something that we should recommend that basically the select board vote on to extend to all municipal properties here in town. That's my understanding. Kate, is that basically correct?
Yeah, so it's a little slightly different than that, but that's the general idea. Okay. And this, just so we're clear, I'm speaking in a personal capacity right now. This is not something that the select board has taken up. So this is just personal to me at this point. But what I would envision, and just to give a little bit of background, and I'm cheating by reading straight off the Mass Audubon website, second generation anticoagulant rodenticides are a class of poisons that prevent blood from clotting, causing internal bleeding, organ failure, paralysis, and often death. And they are used, obviously, as rodent poisons, specifically for mice and rats. And the danger that they pose is not only to the targeted rodents, but also to all of those rodents' natural predators, like raptors, foxes, coyotes, and other predators that eat these poisoned rodents, and it ends up killing them. And, I think we all enjoy seeing the things on the community Facebook page when somebody spots a fox in their backyard. I think we all value our local wildlife and would like to see them protected. So what I am envisioning or hoping is that CONCOM would be willing to spearhead a policy at this point for the town to ban the use of SGARs on municipal properties. And that's sort of a stopgap measure until hopefully there would be a warrant article at the next all-town meeting, annual town meeting, to make it a permanent, permanent in the town. And again, this is would just be limited to municipal properties. Banning on private property is a whole other thing that requires a home rule petition to the state legislature, and that's not something that I'm looking at this point. So this would just be limited to municipal properties.
Okay.
And then just a little bit more background. This is a pretty hot issue right now. A lot of Massachusetts towns are doing this exact same thing in terms of, voting at town meetings. Billerica just did it last week. Lexington, Wayland, a lot of communities are taking up this exact same measure, and I think it would be a good move for Bolton.
Okay. I tend to agree personally. Let me first open it up to members of the commission. Do people have initial questions, comments, thoughts about us possibly drafting some sort of town ordinance, something that we can possibly advance and say, look, we believe this might be in the best interest of the town and really does extend into our conservation efforts?
Yeah, I agree.
Most people
Yeah,
comfortable with
definitely a
that?
good thing.
Okay.
We don't use any kind of pesticides. We use herbicides, as far as I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just say, to be clear, it's just something we could do for municipal buildings. Basically, say we it's something that we as a town won't use at town hall or at the DPW building and stuff like that. It wouldn't necessarily affect private homeowners. Again, I have a personal ban in our house. That's currently up to every individual, but this would be basically saying in any of our municipal properties, the high school, the library, that we would have a ban on using these type of pesticides or rodenticides, I should say. Okay.
I don't have
All right.
I don't have an issue
In
with
that
it,
case, I know.
but is this our jurisdiction to do this? It has nothing to do with wetlands. So I don't know if this is our jurisdiction to handle this case. And not that I have an issue with it. I just don't know if it's in the right forum for this.
So the other warrant articles from other towns that I've seen have been sponsored by conservation, which is why I started here. So.
Yeah, I would imagine it's a really good point, Lori. I would imagine their tie-in is the conservation efforts, because I know a lot of this it spreads the wildlife, kind of kills your biodiversity, can affect your food chains in certain areas. I'm assuming that's how they come at this. Okay, so Kate, I think this is something that we can kind of support and we can kind of get behind. I think this is something I talked to Rebecca, and I know she's already tried to draft some possible wording. I think she's looked at what some of the other towns have done to give us an idea of what something like this might look like. So basically, I would say for commission members to take a good look at that, think of any questions that you may have. And I know for one, the one thing I want to talk to is DPW. I think there are better alternatives. I think there are easier alternatives, but this is not something I would want to advance without at least talking to them and hearing their point of view on this. They might be completely in line with it, but I think they would be the one. So that said, I basically, and again, it's not something we need to necessarily vote on. This is something we'd probably take up again at our next meeting, and give ourselves the 2 weeks to basically draft something, get together any questions. And again, I just want to check in with DPW and see what they have to say. Both for everyone? Okay.
And I
Go
have
ahead,
given Kate. Rebecca some resources, the Mass Autobahn link, and I think some information from Save Lexington Wildlife and a couple of others, as well as some town meeting articles in other towns. So if you don't have them, I'm sure she can get those to you, because it's pretty easy reading. It's not a ton, but it explains things pretty well. And I completely agree about the DPW, and Randy definitely needs to, and there are for sure alternatives, and there are companies that don't use SGARs. So.
And there's no rodent problems in Bolton municipal properties. Come on now. Living out in the woods like this? Never. All right. Well, thank you for coming in tonight, Kate. And commission members, thank you for considering all of this. And we will see how this proceeds at our next meeting.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Have a good night. All right. So next up this evening, we had basically a continuing discussion about an offer of land donation of about 1.5 acres off of Harvard Road. And if I remember where we left off, Lauren, do you have the parcel? Could you pull it up?
Sure.
So I just want to double check. All right.
Okay. We have We have a few documents in here. I'm not sure the best one to pull up.
Yeah, I'm
but-
trying to think. If people
Looks
remember,
like-
this is currently a home of one of our fire ponds. And there were questions arising about who would be responsible for maintenance, or would we be picking up any maintenance costs? And basically the answer was that the fire department has the maintenance costs for all their fire ponds, regardless of if they're on town-owned land or not. So it really wouldn't change. Basically, if it was something we accepted, it wouldn't change anything as far as town fees on maintenance or anything. The town would be losing about $200 a year in property taxes if we were to accept it. That said, it is one of the other things we wanted to see where the property stood, and the owner is it's up to date on taxes and clear of any liens currently. That was one of the things we wanted to check. It is indeed. If we were to accept it, we'd probably be voting to accept it contingent upon it having a clear title, clean title. I'm back and forth. Generally speaking, it's not a bad thing for us to, and it basically would be a vote that we vote to recommend that the select board approve and take this property. Does it have huge value to us? Not sure. The fact that it does surround a fire pond, though, which tend to have a good supply, a good biodiversity of especially like pond life, wetland life in our area, it does make sense to me to have that little greater protection around it of the town actually owning that land. But that's that. I guess I don't have real strong feelings either way. I'm just curious what members of the commission think.
I looked at it, it was all wet, which is fine. The only reason I would think that they would hold on to it, and I don't know what their property was behind it, or if they've already sold it off or whatever, or even owned it, would be just for frontage on something that they needed. Otherwise, if they didn't need it, I could see them just not paying attention.
Yeah, it makes some sense.
Yeah, I
So-
think sounds like we should probably take advantage of it.
Okay. All right. In that case, I believe it's going to call for a roll call vote that we vote to recommend that the select board accept the land donation of approximately 1.5 acres off of Harvard Road, contingent upon it having a clear title. All those in favor, please say aye, starting with Jim,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
Lori,
I
and Laura, I'm an aye as well.
Okay, thank you.
All right. All right. So next up was enforcement order for 146, right? Yeah, 146 Hudson Road. There's no update on that on 146 at this time, other that they are still working towards compliance, and they've actually been in contact with Rebecca to determine what it is they still need to do. We have on our agenda a notice of violation for 30 North Road at Bowers Springs. Lauren, I don't know. Could you walk us through a little bit what happened? I know you and I both had a chance to talk to Rebecca. I'm trying to think if you remember the full circumstances better than I do.
Sure, I can read some of the notes off. Might be more clear that way.
so.
Regarding 30 North Road. There were structures and fill within a wetland and other resource areas. A letter of violation was sent to the property owner and the resident. The resident's representative has responded upon receipt of the letter regarding the violations and intends to come into compliance. They've been required to submit a notice of intent and were issued a cease and desist from all work on the site. They've been made aware of that a resource area delineation is required, and they will likely be required to remove related structures. There may be mitigation for all alterations to the resource areas. So they do plan on submitting a notice of intent at sometime in the future soon. So that is the update on 30 North Road.
All right, thank you. So they are
Yep.
moving towards compliance. And yeah, if the Bowers update, if you could walk us through that a bit, or even if you want to read it.
Yeah. So I don't know if I have. I'm just looking at my notes here. I know
I
that
was doing the exact same thing, trying to. So
yeah.
so basically, there was a dog biting incident at Bowers Springs. There was a person. So we currently have I'm trying to think of what our bylaw states for Bowers. Basically, dogs need to be under control or on leash or under control at all times. And you have to at least have leashes for you. For the number of dogs that you have, you must have a leash for them. If they are not on leash, they must be under control, but you must still have a leash. And I believe there was, at least one fully documented incident of somebody not following that leash law with a dog that was biting other dogs, and was clearly not under control. And from the people reporting it was clearly a nuisance, biting other dogs. And I'm not sure if this was in this circumstance, chasing a dog out into the road, into Flanagan Road. And the reason I say multiple instances is some instances were reported and not substantiated. So Rebecca had asked the dog warden basically to check in on the situation. And a third instance happened while the dog warden was there. This one, the dog warden did witness. There was a police report filed, I believe, as well. So there have been 2 reported instances before that. They were unsubstantiated. The instance that was witnessed by both the dog warden and I believe there was a police report filed, that's the one that Rebecca issued a fine on. It's basically a $300 fine and letting this person know, reminding them of what the rules are. Is that your understanding, Lauren? That was the story as I had understood it, and also reading through the notes that have been provided.
Yeah, I think that's mostly right. I under my notes here, it says the ticket is to be issued upon receipt of the report from animal control, which I think we might still be waiting for. And I think the commission may need to take a vote to memorialize the issuance of the $300 fine for violations of Chapter 233, the regulations under recreation. So yeah, it'll be up to the commission to take a vote on that.
Okay. So between Lauren and I, do commission members understand what we're, again, Rebecca, there was a fine that's probably going to be issued to this person contingent upon what we find out. And we're basically just memorializing the fact that fine is going to be issued. Okay.
Makes sense.
Okay. In that case, I'm going to call for a roll call vote to confirm the issuance of a $300 fine for the violation of Chapter 233 Recreation and associated dogs on conservation land rules and regulations. All those in favor, please say aye, starting with Jim.
Aye.
Sue?
Aye.
Lori?
I'm sorry, are you breaking up? So I'm
No worries. Lauren, I'm an aye as well. Okay. All right. So next up, Okay. So the Forest Legacy Stewardship Program is still moving along. It is still moving forward, but there are no major updates at this time. Our Trail Stewardship Authorized Program, the projects, there are again no major updates with the exception of Rattlesnake, which it sounds like most of the trail marking and everything is almost complete. And it sounds like, and so I believe when it is complete, the Trails Committee is planning to put out new updated maps and guides as well, or updated maps. So that is wonderful, and thank you again to everyone who is putting their time and work towards that. A reminder that July 3rd, the Learn to Fish Clinic will be at Bower Springs, co-hosted by Mass Wildlife. Also a reminder, our volunteer land steward position still open, and Conservation Commission still has one opening for any town citizen who is interested. Lauren, I think that is everything I have. Is there anything I have missed?
I don't see anything else. I think we got it all.
All right. Commission members, any new business, anything you would like to discuss that we have not talked about yet this evening? All right.
What's that?
In that case, I am going to make a motion that we officially close the Tuesday, May 20th, 2025 meeting of the Bolton Conservation Commission. Do I hear a second for adjourning?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye, starting with Jim.
Aye.
Sue.
Bye.
Lori.
Aye.
And Lauren, I'm an aye as well.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
you. I'll
you.
see you
Thank
in
you. Have a good
2
night.
weeks, if not sooner.
Have a good night.
Bye now.
Night.
Bye.
Recording stopped.